Garlic, onion powder. What does that come from? Dehydrated onion. Let's take a look at the spice rub. Dehydrated garlic, onion, and bell pepper.
I sauteed those bell peppers along with my onion and garlic.
What is so funny to me is if I had just doused my chicken in this rub alone, the seasoning police would be out of my comments. They wouldn't even be in there. But the second it's fresh garlic or fresh onion or fresh bell pepper, it's automatically not seasoning.
Seasoning Bay is here, the latest viral internet sensation to be turned into a racist 4chan meme, stems from an ostensibly innocuous video in defense of using fresh herbs and vegetables as seasoning. Why, you may ask, would a topic so benign become so racialized and so divisive? Today we're going to take a look at that, the history of this meme about white people seasoning their food or lack thereof, as well as some of the best counterexamples, if you will, some of the culinary practices to come out of Africa in order to challenge this widespread white supremacist food culture that we are all being oppressed by. White people don't season they food. This mimetic idea is pervasive on the internet. And looking into it, you can see it's been floating around out there for well over a decade. You have old BuzzFeed articles laughing about how white people don't season their food. There's a bunch of viral videos on YouTube on the topic, including this clip featuring Oprah Winfrey.
Do you like it? I hope so. Just say yes.
No, but no. I do like it. I like it very much. I think, did we add salt and pepper? I think we needed salt and pepper.
No, there's no salt and pepper in it. But you can add it yourself.
I would just like, I think it's delicious, is what it really is.
Not for nothing, but the reason that lady brought her chicken on the Oprah Winfrey show is because her recipe had won $1 million in a competition run by Pillsbury.
The recipe for baked chicken with spinach stuffing was created by stay-at-home Chicago mom Anna Ginsburg, who won the $1 million Pillsbury Bake Off prize. So is it really worth $1 million, or was Oprah's reaction the real verdict? To find out, Chef Ashton Keefe cooked up the chicken with Inset Edition producer Allison Hall. The secret is in the sauce.
This is kind of like what's so phenomenal about this, because it's at that salty sweet, and so we're using maple syrup, and we're using peach preserves, and then we're using Worcestershire sauce.
And plenty of seasoning.
We want to make sure we season every single piece of this.
20 minutes at 425 degrees, and voila.
You know what? I get why it's worth $1 million.
The gag about white people having bland food is also a mainstay at comedy clubs, especially when you're looking at black comedians. I went to a show in Seattle featuring Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock a few months ago, and one of the openers was the guy who played Ashy Larry on the Chappelle show, and he had a whole bit about white people not seasoning their food. You can also find these on YouTube. They often become fairly denigrating, like this clip, for example.
Yeah, it's gonna get tense, guys. I mean, you do season the food, we get upset with you, so you can't win either way. Can't win either way, man. Remember Jamie Oliver? He tried a thing. Jamie Oliver. He made some punchy jerk rice. My Jamaican friends and family lost their fucking minds. They were devastated, like that was their 9/11. He had people marking themselves safe on Facebook and shit. I'm telling you, Jamie Oliver's Jamaica's Bin Laden, I'm telling you. They're looking for him, they can't find him, but he keeps releasing videos all the fucking time. Just taunting them, man. My cousin's Jamaican, he called me up, he was mad as hell. Man was like, me can't believe him take the jerk and him season the rice. There's nothing called jerk rice. You jerk pork, you jerk chicken, you never jerk rice. Them a dirty little careless boy. Punchy jerk rice, me I got punch off him bumble clot. Hey. I can't believe him take the jerk. I was like, dude, you can't believe he took the jerk? You never read a history book? Fucking up. I'm like, dude, Europeans, they took your land, they took your people. Why would they not take your jerk? As if that's a step too far. Oh no, we never touch your jerk, that sacred seasoning. No, we're not monsters here, no. Get those babies on the boat. I'm sorry guys, sorry British folks, sorry. Is that too far? Sorry man.
So that started off as a bit about white people not seasoning their food and then turned into a joke about a white person who did season his food. But I didn't choose that clip randomly. I chose it because I've been trying to look into the origin of this meme. Where does it come from? Where does it stem from? And why is it so prevalent? And that bit sort of ties into one of the literal theories I've seen, which is that there is an animosity towards white people's food, which simply stems from the history of racism and colonialism. For example, this article that was written on bonappetit.com in August of 2022 says, enshrining food as bland versus seasoned, mild versus spicy, white versus not. This has become a signifier, a shorthand, even a way to perform the very self. The French social scientist Claude Fischler writes, to incorporate a food, that is, to consume food, to take it into our bodies, is to incorporate all or some of its properties. We become what we eat. This incorporation forms the foundation of identity, Fischler writes. Human beings mark their membership of a culture or a group by asserting the specificity of what they eat, or more precisely, by defining the otherness, the difference of others. That seems especially true in the invocation of the binary, which is defined by the perceived difference between one kind of cuisine and its antithesis. Jokes and memes about colonizers' bland-ass food resonate, and not because of their originality or comedic genius. Implicit in those quips is a declaration of allegiance with people whose ancestral lands were once plundered by colonial powers for spices and other riches. This reversal in contemporary culinary clout is payback for all the decades, if not centuries, that our food and our flavors were once maligned as strange, smelly, alien, oily, or maybe even immoral. Another theory was popularized in a recent Twitter thread that now has over 15 million views, which posits that at some unspecified time in history, white people started to associate spices with brown people and then stopped using them because white people are extremely racist and would rather eat bland, flavorless food than act like a brown person. The third and final theory I've found originates from the depths of 4chan and posits that when black people interact with what they perceive as white food is primarily either in the public school system or the prison system, these institutions having notoriously bad food then becomes what the black person associates with white cuisine. So which of these theories is correct, or at least which one holds the most water under scrutiny? Well, I'm going to start by ruling out the 4chan meme. Funny though it may be, one big trope that falls under this umbrella happens every year at Thanksgiving, when people post photos of their Thanksgiving meals and you have black people making fun of the white meals, calling them bad, or you have these blended families where the black people go to eat at the white person's house. They talk about how bad the food is. And there's lots of other examples. For example, this video on YouTube is from a woman who's talking about how her white boyfriend tried to cook her a meal and she thought that the food was bland.
So I'm just minding my own business, petting Molly, then petting Yoshi, and watching TV, feeling like a queen while my boyfriend makes me dinner, and I just happen to glance in the direction of him cooking, and my mouth drops. So I see no seasoning except salt on the counter, and I see him take the lonely container of salt and lightly dab literally 3 grains of salt in the palm of his hand and throw it over the pot of mashed potatoes. No. The memes are true.
So there does seem to be at least some evidence that this stereotype survives out in the real world, so to speak. That leaves us with 2 competing theories. One, that white people hate spices because they hate black people, and the other, that the stereotype may be largely unsubstantiated but stems from a sort of racial animosity or bitterness resulting from white people having been evil oppressors throughout all of recorded history. So I guess it behooves behooves us to try to determine how true is the stereotype. If we can get an answer on that question, it may give us insight into which of the theories is more based in reality. The only way I can think to do this is by looking at ranking lists of national cuisines and seeing who ranks at the top. Now, I know this might not sit right with some people, as your food preference is subjective and there could be biases in the sampling sizes for these surveys, etc. Those are fair criticisms. I just can't think of any other way to check. And what I can tell you is that we do have many different surveys on this topic conducted by a whole range of different groups and organizations and nationalities. And what you find consistently is that Italy dominates. Italy is almost always number one in the ranking lists. If they are not number one, they are certainly in the top 3. White bros, it might be time for us to bring Italy back into the fold.
I think it's absolutely preposterous to say that Columbus was white. But anyway, I know that's the way you feel.
Was you a Negro? Was you a Chinaman?
What was he?
Columbus?
I think he was an Italian. He may have been a Jew, but I think he was an Italian.
Other strong contenders include France and Spain, as well as China and Japan. Even left-leaning, black-loving CNN's top 10 list featured Italy at number 1, followed by China, then France, then Spain, with 0 African countries on the top 10 list. It should be noted that some of these surveys are conducted using only experts, example, top chefs from around the world, whereas others have surveyed the general population. We have sample sizes of tens of thousands of people, and regardless of how you do it, the answers seem to flush out the same way. I did find one list that ranked the top 50 countries, and I was curious to see where the first African country would show up on this list, and what we have is South Africa at 36th on the list. South Africa, of course, having the highest white population in Africa, but I digress. So what is the explanation for this? Why does African cuisine rank so low in these competitions? Is it because they wash their chicken in Clorox and detergent?
I'm gonna show y'all how I clean my motherfucking chicken. This is how my grandma showed me, my mama showed me, and this is how I do it for me. So you're gonna put a little bit of Clorox. It has to be name brand Clorox bleach or it will not taste right.
How Jamaican wash their chicken.
If you don't put no dish up on your chicken when you cleaning it, then what are you doing? You got to get into it with that chicken. Got to get into it, period.
There's a million more examples of that, but you get the idea. It's actually such a widespread phenomenon that the CDC put out an advisory warning people not to wash their chicken. And if you have some time to go through the replies to that tweet, well, it's kind of exactly what you would expect. Or is it possible that maybe black people just use too much spice? Like in this video where you see the guy just dumping the entire bottles into his crab boil. Black people, if you're watching this, more spice doesn't just always equal better, okay? Sometimes less is more. These bottles of spice are not meant to be single use. Maybe our taste buds are just built different. Maybe it's because we evolved in different places, and the evolution of the African taste bud also involved eating lots of dirt. That's not a joke, that's a real thing.
This is the American South, rich in history, rich in culture, an area to which years ago Africans brought much of their heritage and traditions. Through the centuries, many of their customs have remained unchanged, including one which is little known, referred to by scholars as geophagy. To those who continue the custom, it is known as eating dirt. And today it is still widely practiced. The eating of dirt dates back thousands of years. Even the ancient Greeks described it in their writings and often used it to counter illnesses and poisons.
I like it, Mama. Not quite. Are you sure? Not quite. It's a little sour. But it tastes good. You have to dig down to get the good stuff anyway.
The practice appears to be most prevalent among Southern women, some of whom are known at times to eat about a handful a day.
Let's look around. Hey, there's a spot. Let's try over there. All right, let's try it over here. I thought that was good, Mama.
Not just any dirt will do. It has to be dug from the right place and should have a rich, pleasing flavor. Such locations are found primarily along the southern riverbanks. Frequent trips are made to gather dirt in jars or bags, to be enjoyed at home or to be shipped to distant relatives. The big cities of the North are now home to many Southern blacks. Though less widespread, the eating of dirt is here too still a popular custom, thanks to relatives down south and the U.S. Postal Service.
Look, Mom! Look what we got! Well, it's this. Up and see what they got.
Sometimes, when genuine dirt is not available, some women have been known to eat cornstarch or baking soda as a temporary substitute.
Get dirt like that here. You just can't get it. It sure is good.
I know you're thinking, LP, that's not real. That's a joke. Those are actors. No, it's real. Believe me, it's real. It's even been documented in peer-reviewed scientific studies, such as this one from 2011, which found that up to 84% of pregnant women in some African countries eat dirt. And they weren't joking about the cornstarch bit either. That's also a thing that is known to happen.
Let's open it.
Oh no, what is she going to do with that? Oh God. Oh God. Oh no. All right, look, different strokes for different folks and all that. I'm not going to sit here and tell other people what they should and shouldn't do with their food. But when it comes to this meme of white people having bland food, not knowing how to season it, this does appear to be one of those rare stereotypes that just doesn't really hold up to scrutiny and seems to stem more from the insecurity of a group of people who literally eat dirt. So now you know. Now you know the story behind the meme. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit like, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you all on the peace side. Flip out.
That boy needs therapy. Granny Gazoo, let's have a chew. Now when I count three. That boy needs therapy.
But George also, he used to make the best banana mayonnaise sandwiches, and he used to make syrup sandwiches because George couldn't cook. He couldn't boil water.